All right, good afternoon. It's 2:13, and I'd like to call the meeting of the Permit Review Committee to order. And we'll begin with the roll call of commission members. After I call your name, commissioners, please reply here present and confirm that you can hear and see me. Commissioner Hughes.
Present, I can hear and see you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fair.
Present, I can hear and see you.
Commissioner Rubin. Commissioner Rubin. Come back. We'll come back for him.
I'm here. Sorry about that.
There he is. All right, thank you. And I'm here. We have a quorum, and we'll begin with a statement. In 2020, Governor Pritzker signed Public Act 101-0640, making certain amendments to the Open Meetings Act so that we, along with other boards and commissions, can continue to host virtual meetings during the COVID-19 public health emergency, provided that certain conditions are met. One of those conditions is that Chairman Wong of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks determines that an in-person meeting of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks and its Permit Review Committee are not practical or prudent. Chairman Wong has determined pursuant to Section 7E2 of the Open Meetings Act that an in-person meeting of this Commission on Chicago Landmarks and its Permit Review Committee is not practical or prudent. He's also determined pursuant to Section 75 that because of the disaster as declared by the governor, it is unfeasible for at least one member of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks or its chief administrative officer or its chief legal officer to be physically present at the meeting place for either meeting in as much as there is no physical meeting place. Pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Chicago Commission on Chicago Landmarks on June 4, 2020, regarding the chairman's emergency rulemaking powers, Chairman Wong issued emergency rules governing the conduct of remote public commission meetings and provisions for remote public participation effective February 18th, 2022. These rules are posted on the commission's website. In line with these emergency rules, today's regular Permit Review Committee meeting is a virtual meeting being simulcast to the general public via live streaming. Permit Review Committees have been held virtually since May of 2020. Meetings are structured to minimize the chances for technical difficulties. Members of the general public who have been encouraged to submit written statements in advance of the meeting, and these have been posted to the Commission's website and are available for public view during the virtual meeting at www.chicago.gov/CCL. Per the emergency rules, verbal statements by the general public for all agenda items will take place at the beginning of the meeting. So all those wishing to speak at today's meeting should be signed into the Zoom meeting at this time. Before we hear staff presentations on the agenda items and ask to hear from owners or applicants and their teams, we will open the floor to members of the general public who wish to comment about the items to be heard on today's agenda. Members of the general public wishing to comment should use the raise hand function of Zoom to indicate that they wish to speak. Members of the public not using a smartphone or a computer and instead phoning in to the meeting should press *9 to activate the raise hand function and do the same to deactivate it. I, the meeting facilitator, will call out the names one by one and unmute those people. Once unmuted, speakers should give their full name and organization, if any, they represent. Each speaker is allocated 3 minutes to speak. Once all members of the general public wishing to comment have been given the opportunity to do so, we will go through the agenda, and I would ask that owners and applicants and their representatives, as well as aldermen, wait to speak until after staff presentations have been made on their agenda item. Now, I'd like to go through the agenda items to allow for public comment this time. There are 2 agenda items. The first agenda item is for the project at 318 North Carpenter in the Fulton Randolph Market District. Are there any members of the general public wishing to speak on this item? I don't see any hands. All right. Seeing none, we'll move to the item, comments for the second item on the agenda, which is the project at the former Sheridan Bank and Trust building located at 4753 North Broadway. Are there any members of the general public wishing to speak on this item? I see one. Mr. Ward Miller.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission and the Permit Review Committee. I'm Ward Miller with Preservation Chicago. Regarding the Sheridan Bank and Trust Company located at 4753 North Broadway, we are most likely in support of that small change, that modification to the sign. It is a little difficult to figure out exactly what this looks like as we're testifying prior to the presentation. So if there's any opportunity in the future to share more information to the public, that would be gratefully appreciated. I just wanted to mention that this building also has a corner digital sign right at the corner of Lawrence and Broadway. It oftentimes flashes the time, but it also sends various messages out to the community. We're not opposed to that, but I know in the past, digital signs have been quite a controversial topic. I don't believe there's any changes to this sign, but I just wanted to make you aware that, we need to be careful with all of our landmark buildings, that they don't become sort of a huge billboard of sort. The digital sign that's there right now at the corner that I'm referring to is even larger than the adjoining window widths. And so it doesn't appear that it was sort of custom fit or measured to that site. And I know the current ownership had nothing to do with that sign, but looking to the future and looking to the signs on this building, it would be great to be able to sort of clean these items up so that they really do conform to the landmark standards that we all so appreciate and like, and yet still allow for the correct and needed advertising for many of these companies. So I think it's more of a general statement that we support the signage as needed per standards with landmarks. I think we just need to be careful. As always, this has been a constant discussion item when we were all in person over many years' time. Of course, when there's a historic blade sign or similar type of historic component, we'd like to see those components retained. But just wanted to point out again our concerns. It's been a while since we've all been in person. It's been a while since we've been talking about signage, but some of these digital signs are really upsetting to see in relationship to these wonderful buildings that are individual landmarks and also part of districts. So just want to, again, support the commission and the department on the signage ordinance, and then look at cleaning some of these signs up in the future as a possible way to correct some of these missteps of the past. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. Are there any other members of the general public wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, I believe that's all the general members of the general public who have indicated they wish to speak on agenda items, and therefore this concludes the public comment portion of the meeting, and we will go through the agenda. We'll begin with the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. It was our regular meeting of November 3rd, 2022. And I'd like to request a motion to approve the minutes from that meeting, November 3rd, 2022. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Commissioner Rubin.
Thank you, Commissioner Rubin has moved. Do we have a second?
Seconded, Commissioner Fair.
Commissioner Fair, second, and the roll call, Commissioner Hughes.
Yes.
All right, I'm a yes as well. And the motion carries, and the minutes are approved. And we'll go into our first project now, which is 318 North Carpenter, the Fulton Randolph Market District, the 27th Ward, Alderman Burnett, proposed new 18-foot 5-inch long by 3-foot 5-inch tall exterior illuminated hand sign located on the eastern parapet, approximately 74 feet above grade. And Emily Barton has the presentation.
I do, thank you. So the subject property is located at the corner of Carpenter and Carroll on the northern side of the Fulton Randolph Market District. In 2017 and 2019, PRC reviewed and approved a new construction proposal for an 8-story commercial building. In November of 2022, staff received a sign permit application for a new parapet sign facing Carpenter Street. Because this proposed sign is greater than 24 feet above grade, City Council approval is required, therefore triggering PRC review. Okay. The applicant is proposing to install an exterior aluminum illuminated pan sign located on the eastern parapet facing Carpenter, approximately 74 feet above grade and reading Kimball International. The sign's proposed to be 3 foot 5 inches tall and 18 feet 5 inches in length. The letters will be illuminated, pushed through acrylic on a black aluminum pan background. Obviously the subject building is non-contributing to the district as it is new construction, and the sign will be mechanically mounted to the parapet beam. The commission has previously approved parapet signs within the district, and this sign is similarly located facing a side street rather than the primary view corridors along Fulton Market or Randolph. Although the district contains several examples of historic identifying signage located in parapets, these are areas where new signage is typically discouraged. However, because this building is new construction, Kimball International is the primary tenant for the building, and the sign's proposed location on a secondary street in the district, staff recommends approval of the sign as proposed with the conditions that no conduit be visible. And staff further recommends that the illumination should be dimmable to adjust the lighting levels as required by sign code. So I'm here if you have any questions for me, and I believe we have a representative of ownership here as well.
Thank you, Emily. Any questions for Emily, commissioners, before we go to the applicant or the owner's rep? Seeing none, let's hear from the owner's representative. Is it Amy Preston?
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, this is Amy Preston. I'm with Preston Design and Construction Consulting, representing my client, Kimball International. Kimball will be moving their current showroom location located on Welsh Street in Chicago to the Fulton Market. They are very excited about this. And as Emily stated, they're the prime tenant at 318 North Carpenter. They are seeking signage and identification for their new location. And thank you so much for your time today. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the owner's representative, commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Fair.
Yeah, maybe just a point of clarification. From the images, it looks like, the parapet is steel, but then in the section, it looks like there's a concrete parapet. Not that I think it impacts things too much, but just curious what the actual, construction of that building is at that parapet in particular.
At that parapet, it is steel. The primary construction of the building, I believe, is brick and beam, concrete structure with a brick facade until you get up and on those terraces on 7 and above.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. I think, just having the detail reflect that, I think would be, ideal. But I don't think it changes really the intent here. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Hughes.
Yes, my question is more to the second point about the staff recommendations. When we are requesting, Emily, for the sign to be dimmable, is there a sort of a system in which the dimming will take place? So when it's darker, it's, more dim. When it's like
Yeah, so my understanding is that this is something that is typically built into signs of this nature, because it is a requirement by the sign code, which is through, I believe, buildings and zoning, rather than us. But my understanding is that it's similar to one in a house where it's a slide and you can kind of adjust it.
So ultimately, the dimming is decided by the owner.
Yes.
I think it will be set by a control panel. The way it will be installed, it'll probably be set on a time clock so that at certain hours it'll dim to a lower level, and then at certain hours it'll turn back up. There won't be a switch for it. It'll be sent to a panel which will control it.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Any other questions, commissioners? All right. Any other points of discussion If not, like to request a motion to approve, adopt the staff recommendations. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Commissioner Fair.
Commissioner Fair has made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it. Commissioner Rubin.
All right, Commissioner Rubin has seconded, and do the roll call. Commissioner Hughes?
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes, yes, and I'm a yes, and the motion carries unanimously. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look.
We'll miss Kimball from right across the street from the Mart.
I know. They're all moving out.
Yeah. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our second item and final item is 4753 North Broadway in the 46th Ward, the former Sheridan Bank and Trust Building. Alderman James Kappelman proposed modification of two existing 48-foot long by 40-inch tall exterior aluminum illuminated reverse channel letter signs located on the West Lawrence and North Broadway elevations. And Tyler Taylor has the presentation.
Thank you. The project is a proposed modification of two signs on the north and west elevations of the former Sheridan Savings and Trust building at 4753 North Broadway Ave. The building is located within the Uptown Square Landmark District on a triangular site bounded by North Broadway Ave to the south and west, West Lawrence Ave to the north, and North Clifton to the east. The building is also located within the National Register of Historic Places, Uptown Square Historic District. Initially completed in 1925, it was originally 8 stories, designed by the firm of Marshall and Fox. It was later extended upward 4 additional stories in an expansion designed by Husak and Hill. The building received Chicago landmark status as an individual landmark in 2007. The designated features include all exteriors and roof line and some interior spaces. At the November 2020 meeting, this commission reviewed and approved a rehabilitation of the building. The scope of work included the adaptation of the historic banking floors for use as a new co-working space and conversion of most of the building to residential use. The scope of work approved at that meeting did not provide specific proposals for new signs. As work on the rehabilitation is now being completed, permit applications for signs identifying some of the new tenants have been received, including 2 for modification of the large signs at the Lawrence and Broadway elevations. These are both approximately 38 feet above grade and thus require PRC approval as they exceed 24 feet above grade. The photo on the left shows the building before it was expanded. The Sheridan Trust sign is visible on both primary facades. The photo on the right shows the building after it was expanded and taken over by Uptown National Bank. The existing signs for Bridgeview Bank that are subject to this proposal are in the same location as the previous signs. The 2 existing signs both read Bridgeview Bank Uptown and consist of 36-inch tall aluminum reverse channel letters attached to an existing metal raceway box that contains the sign electronics. The raceway box is structurally attached to the terracotta face of the building. The boxes are 48 feet in width by 40 inches tall with a depth of 3.5 inches. These signs were permitted in 2003 before the building was designated a Chicago landmark, and both permits are still active. The applicant is proposing to modify the existing signs to identify the new primary tenant rather than completely replace them. The metal raceway box is proposed to remain, but the front plate of the box will be replaced and the letters will be changed to read Flats Uptown. The new letters measure 36 inches in height, are 3 inches thick, and halo lit with white LEDs. The letters will be separated from the raceway box by a gap of 2 inches. This slide shows the enlarged detail of the proposed retrofit with the new components identified in blue and the existing components identified in red. The existing raceway box will remain in place throughout the retrofit. This elevation shows the proposed sign on the west facade along North Broadway. Note the other signs shown are existing to remain. The remaining signs that have yet to be permitted will be less than 24 feet from grade and less than 100 square feet and will be reviewed by staff for compliance with historic preservation standards as they are received. The proposal before you today is just for the 2 larger signs only, which require permit review committee approval. And again, this rendering shows what it will look like from North Broadway after the change of phase. And along West Lawrence. Although mounted in the historic location, the raceway box for the existing signs obscures the decorative flat arches over the 3rd floor windows. As a new sign, this would not be appropriate. However, as an existing condition, staff recommends approval of the proposal for the following reasons. First, per the applicant, power for the signs is routed from the interior of the building at the ends of the existing raceway box. Removal of the box would require new access points for power and thus new penetrations to the facade. At the interior, power is routed through an interstitial space above the decorative plaster ceiling of the historic 3rd floor banking hall. Access to this space in order to modify the power supply would require removal of some portion of the ceiling. Second, the existing raceway is mounted to the exterior terracotta. Reuse of the raceway avoids making any new attachment points or penetrations. Alderman Kappelman of the 46th Ward has reviewed the proposal and is in support. The National Park Service has already reviewed the proposal and issued their approval on October 18th, 2022. Staff finds the proposal will not expand any adverse effect caused by the existing sign structures and recommends approval with these conditions. Representatives of the contractor, Method and Ryan are here today and able to answer questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Commissioners, any questions? Tyler. Commissioner Fair.
Yeah, no, thank you, Tyler. I think you answered one of the questions that I had just about the extent of the metal fascia that's behind it. Thought this would have been a good opportunity maybe to slim that down and show some of that terracotta, but it sounds like the power feed is at the end. So it's one of those things where had this been caught maybe back when the other sign was done, we'd be having a different conversation. But so it is, we have what we have. So thanks for that clarification.
Thank you, Commissioner Fair. Commissioner Hughes.
And Tyler, just for clarification, the new metal face plate, that is the entire plate that's going to be facing the street behind the letters, right?
Yes.
So that entire plate is
So,
being replaced
yeah.
to match the color of the terracotta.
To match the color of the terracotta and so that holes and wear from the previous
Yes,
signs
okay,
won't be
great.
visible.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Let's hear from the owner's representative. Can we please hear from Sophia Matassini?
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, commissioners. I am the Ryan LLC Historic Tax Credit Consultant. Brianna Yigler is actually the owner representative, but I can let the commission know that this amendment has been approved by both the State Historic Preservation Office and recently the National Park Service as well as of November 18th of this year. And as Mr. Tyler says, we believe that this solution to retain the majority of these signs meets the Secretary of Interior standards and minimizes damage to the historic facade.
Great, thank you. Questions, commissioners? Seeing none. Final points of discussion. I think the presentation was well done and explains kind of why we're here, so appreciate that. Seeing no other points of discussion, like to move to request a motion to adopt the staff recommendations. Do we have a motion?
So moved, Commissioner Fair.
All right, Commissioner Fair has made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Commissioner Hughes.
Commissioner Hughes is seconded, and the roll call, Commissioner Rubin
I'll vote yes.
is a yes, and I'm a yes as well. The motion carries unanimously. Good luck with the sign change. And that brings us to adjournment. No further business on the agenda today. I'd like to request a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Commissioner Hughes.
Always count on Commissioner Hughes. Thank you. Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
it.
Whoever you want.
You got
Back
it,
at the same time. Who gets it? Commissioner Rubin? All right, Commissioner Rubin has seconded the motion and do the roll call. Commissioner Fair?
Yes.
Yes, I'm a yes. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, commissioners. That concludes our meeting.
Thanks,
Happy holidays,
everyone.
everybody.
All right. Happy holidays.
Next year. All right.
And New Year, yes.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Talk-
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.